Okay, let me call the meeting to order here. So I'm going to call the planning board meeting to order in person and over Zoom. Those in the room, Kendra.
Here.
George.
Yes, here.
Frank here. Regina, can you hear us and can you unmute?
We lost her.
Okay. Well, we have a quorum, so we will proceed.
There's no one in the waiting room.
No, we'll work it out.
Yep.
Um,
We don't want to keep Mr. Patrick here
we
waiting.
don't want to keep anybody waiting if we can avoid it. So we've opened the meeting. We've had an attendance roll call. Mike Favreau won't be here. Regina is right there.
Oh, there she is.
She was there a second ago.
Oh, maybe not.
Well, Regina will be with us when she can. First item on the agenda is to approve the meeting minutes of February 12th. Anyone have any comments?
No.
No comment.
Then I'll need a motion.
Move to approve the meeting minutes of February 12th.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Call for a vote. George?
Yes.
Kendra?
Yes.
Frank? Yes. Please note that was 3-0, which is sufficient for a quorum. The next is a public hearing on McGovern Boulevard extension. There is a request to continue. Because it's a request to continue, my understanding is this does not affect the mowing requirement, because nobody missed anything material, just a continuance. So I would look for a, wait for it, motion to continue.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. George?
Yes.
Kendra?
Yes.
Frank? Yes. So we are, they are continued. Brian, did they ask for a date? I'm assuming the 25th.
Yes.
Which is the next one, okay? Then beyond that, that was the public hearing for the evening. The next is a public meeting for 339 Seven Bridge Road, which is a request for an endorsement of an A&R approval not required plan. And this is, the lots also have frontage on Neck Road. This is part of the Kalen Farm parcels. And I see we have Keith Copley, or we did, yeah, there's Keith with us. So Keith, come talk to us.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
All right. I had a little trouble getting on. So the two lots we had engineered, I know we had a couple snafus on the last one where we subdivided some land off to keep it the larger parcel, and there was some confusion, but we met with Brian and kind of went over everything, made sure the lot shapes and the sizes and frontage and everything met the requirements, and these are the two we're putting forward right now. We also petitioned with the select board to first right of refusal, which that's underway also. Nothing else has a bearing on the A&R portion of this. It's just a matter of getting through that first right and seeing if the town would like to participate in the purchase of it. And we're just taking it out for residential use at this point and kind of going from there.
So my understanding in speaking with both Town Administrator Kate Hodges and Assessor Bobby Joe Williams is that the land's coming out of 61A. You're going to have some rollback taxes of some sort, which don't affect the A&R. My understanding is you will have a tax lien or the equivalent until those are paid, but that's between you and the assessors. And my understanding is that The right of first refusal is still in front of the select board until June 30th. So again, that's on their desk and not ours.
Yep, that's true. And Bobby Joe filled us in on everything in regards to the rollback and all that. So we are just awaiting the assessor board to let us know what that is, and we'll go from there.
Great, fantastic. Brian, you've reviewed the lots. Do you have any comments?
The lots, they appear to meet the A&R requirement of 225 feet on frontage on a publicly accepted road. They're not odd shaped, so I mean that's the only requirement really. As you can see, and of course on the other, of course, an A&R endorsement does not imply buildable lots. They still need to go to zoning, Conservation Commission, before any building permits or anything else can be conveyed to the owner or subsequent owners. But as far as an A&R, it doesn't meet the requirements of an A&R.
Okay, great. So Keith, you heard it from Brian, no warranties express or implied.
Yep.
Is there any discussion amongst the board about these lots, this project, anything pertaining to this application?
No.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Regina, you're unmuted.
Regina, you're here. Can you hear us?
I
okay?
am here. Yes, I can.
Wonderful.
Well, hello, she is there in moment.
Yes. So perfect timing. So you will get to vote in this A&R. Do you have any comments on it?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, in that case, I would look for a motion to endorse the A&R lots.
Move that we endorse the A&R for the lot 7397 Bridge Road.
So moved.
You actually get to second. You move.
Oh, second, sorry.
Okay. Unless there's any further discussion, I'll call for a vote. Regina?
Agreed.
George?
Yes.
Kendra?
Yes.
Frank, yes. So 4-0 to endorse the A&R lots as per the plan. Keith, I'm glad this one was quick, easy, and no wrinkles.
I guess you learn from experience. Thank you all for everything tonight.
Please don't prove me wrong.
Mr. Chair, can I ask the applicant?
Of course you may.
Keith, do you have a Mylar of the plan?
I believe there was one in that roll that I gave you, but if you do not have it, I'll definitely get you one.
Okay. Yes, you're right. Okay, but we will sign that.
And Regina, you need to mute when you're speaking. You have too much background noise.
Why didn't you have to have?
Sorry.
2 weeks ago?
It's the TV. Either that or an active family life. Okay. Well, I don't know if that sets a record because we started late, but it's 7:22, and that's the bulk of our deliberation parts. I probably inadvertently stole your thunder on item 1, the 547 Neck Road, Chapter 61 update. Did I miss anything?
Well, I think, so if you look in this packet that I gave you, I'll go through the staff report that I put together. This is not just 61, this is a slew of things. So, staff report of 3/11, 2024. So in the first one, the item is find an update on the 547 Neck Road, chapter 61 update. So again, this is, as you noted, Mr. Chair, this is before the Board of Assessors Board of the Select Board. So I really can't say too much, but I did want to provide the members of the board with background information on what is Chapter 61A. And so there is both this UMass extension understanding the Massachusetts 61 current use programs, and as well as I put together on that, as well as heavy reading on the actual MGL, Mass General Law, Chapter 61A text. Paying particular attention to sections 12, 13, and 14, as those are the sections that are of import in the discussion before the Board of Assessors now. So again, there are questions of, intent to sell land, notice of to the town, right of first refusal, the length of time that the program is out of Chapter 61. So there is, again, sometimes I don't want to go into details now, because it's not this meeting before, but this should give the planning board sufficient detail on the background of what 61A is. And then as these come forward, we will have a better understanding of the discussion, say, when it comes before the Board of Assessors, when it comes before the Selectmen. So everything should be in here, all the questions that we're talking about, right of first refusal. The difference between a conveyance tax and a rollback tax. When does one take precedence over the other? What defines Chapter 61 use in non-use or a conversion of use? So that is pretty much what I think I can say at this time for this issue.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you. That's very helpful.
Right.
People should know that 61A is agriculture, but a simple Chapter 61 is forestry.
Yes, 61A is agriculture or horticulture or agriculture and horticulture use. And it needs to be in constant use. Again, I'm not getting too much in detail, because I think when it's out of use for 1 year,
Whereas forestry,
and it needs to, in 2 years, Keith will probably know this, because he's been through with Department Joe, he needs to reapply the program, so there's all sorts of questions that.
No, this is very helpful.
Well, and it's interesting to keep in mind under 61A, you could literally keep and breed one goat and sell the kid and technically qualify year over year.
I think there's a $600 minimum.
It's a well-bred goat.
Well, there you go. And no, I mean, I know landowners that will rent their land out to a farmer and then pay the farmer for land improvement.
Yep.
So, which is completely legitimate.
And a 61B is open space and recreation.
Yeah, those don't
Just
seem
to
be-
build under 61.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those just don't seem to be
Next week, we'll
common.
have a test.
Do I get a cheat sheet?
No,
Can I write it on the palm of my hand?
no.
With
Like
notes.
small.
Just remind me not to swear.
There we go.
Okay, moving on.
Yep.
So master plan process, so Wayne was out of town last week. He is, so we should review the report that I just received from Wayne this afternoon. So we got back last Wednesday. We have received 34 surveys to date. Good, but I hope we get more. Please invite our members of the house for the work and the link to the survey. Otherwise, I am working on some of the maps and updating the text, both to respond to the comments we heard at the last public forum and the high school focus group, and to continue to build out the plan. I was originally waiting to get a sense of how far a housing production plan consultant would make it before June, when the final comprehensive plan is due. Given the time schedule for that work, I think I will flesh out the housing section a bit and figure the housing production plan will follow after the comprehensive plan goes into more detail. So I can give you a little bit more. So with the housing production plan, of course, the lead board, depending on the trust, is the Affordable Housing Trust, which meets once a month for Thursday, and so we have been using that forum to once release the RFP, score the respondents, and then also review the the technical proposals as well as the price proposals. Right now, we have selected the Affordable Housing Trust has selected a consultant. Should I say names or just keep not?
I don't think the contract's been signed
No,
yet.
it hasn't been signed yet. Okay.
So I would
So
just,
we are issuing, as of today, we haven't issued yet, but I'm sure as soon as I get the signatures back, the award letter, we will forward the award letter as well as the contract to the selected consultant. I have been in touch with the consultant. They're still on board. They're very excited to get started. That grant does not expire until June 30th of 2025. So we have a full year, almost a half, year and a third to complete that. So it doesn't really overlap too well with the master plan, but I'm sure that once we get the consultant on board, we will have a discussion. But I think the purpose of the master plan is to give an overview of the housing element, right? And other subsequent plans speak to these elements and build upon the master plan elements. So I think there will be sufficient or ample opportunity for housing production plan to build up the housing element. Okay, wayfinding program. Yes.
just a moment. I'm taken aback. You know, we have 800 souls in the town of Lancaster. We have 34 responses. So I'm thinking that we simply have to find a more
Yes.
effective way of reaching out. You know, I'm not saying we should give things away, but, you know, suppose we gave a $1 scratch ticket to the first 100 people who answered the survey. We have to do something.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So let me tell you what part of that. Come into the hallway down, well, of course, the survey is on the site, is on the website, and it is on the, Lancaster 2035 website. Our information officer has distributed it, has put out notices on the town's Facebook and Instagram, those are the two social media platforms. The standing board, that's the display, the hallway downstairs. Paper copies are part of every customer service window. So yes, I mean, we do need to do more. We do need to get this out. I have had calls asking about where it is and kind of walk through the website to point people to the right thing. So, but yeah, I absolutely agree. And I will do, if you guys have ideas, this board has ideas, I will certainly follow up and implement ideas. Again, if people keep a stack of paper copies, Wayne would prefer, it's easy to tabulate and analyze and track
Of course.
the online copies.
Mhm.
But, you know, in the end, we'll take it. So, yeah, we have plenty of copies. Well, I just made 50 copies the other day. We can use probably more if people want to take them and leave them in the car and give them out to friends and family. And do have survey parties, you know,
Sure.
distribute to the other boards. You know, we'll just get creative and do whatever we can do. We'll bring them to the high school, get to this. I don't know, I mean, I'll do whatever you guys want me to do.
so I had three populations to consider.
Mhm.
Excuse me, the town maintains an email list for agendas, all that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Those go to people that care enough to go to meetings, so they'll probably fill out surveys
Yes,
if promoted. Joe Muley has a big list for the library.
that was a one time. So, yeah, so Joe, share that his email list for the first community forum, but, you know, and it's understandable if he doesn't want to
Yep.
open it up to any town event going forward, because it'll dilute the purpose and the integrity of that email list. So, while I was disappointed, I completely understood, you know, his reasons for that. But, you know, if anyone
The
There must be other
schools,
emails.
well, the schools.
Cool.
So not only do they have a broadcast email, which you might be able to coerce them into using once or twice, but just notices at the schools. I mean, parents go back and forth. I mean, sending something home with the kids if need be. I mean, I'm just trying to think about parents often are particularly busy, so aren't necessarily intersecting with a lot of town government.
Yes.
So, if there was something to reach people through there.
So I want to write these ideas down, right? So explore
So,
what avenues in school.
yeah, the school can do an email blast, whether or not they'll do one for you, I don't know, but if you ask really nicely and say you just need it once, maybe they will.
It tends to be very charming.
But certainly, giving stuff for kids to bring home.
Backpack program.
Yeah, something of that nature. I mean, you're gonna get more paper surveys, but a paper
Well,
survey is better than no survey.
Well, I mean, probably there's a flyer that has a QR code on it. We probably
Yeah.
want to send that.
That works fine. But there's, between that and the town email list, the town email list is smaller, but should have more motivated people. But the school list will probably reach a bunch of people the town list does not.
So the town email list is comprised mainly of board members and people.
No, it's people who get agendas, anybody who's interested in an agenda, for instance. So I get agendas for a whole bunch of meetings that I very rarely attend. So I
Yeah.
see the agendas.
You're right, and I like George's idea. We get, maybe if we get the 100th survey, it's a $10 Walmart gift card. The 300th survey,
Yeah, check
yes.
to see if that's legal.
I know. Yeah, I'll say it away. Him know, but I mean, he gave a gift
Well, no, you
card.
check all eight.
Oh, check.
I mean, I can't even give, like, you can't give any. I don't know how that turns around to giving a private resident.
Well,
caption
that's,
things
yeah,
like
that's pretty sure.
I'm not against it, I'm just saying, like,
I think you can do, but I mean, something like that where you're, remember, a lot of it is main value. Big value is to the person who sold it to you, not to the person holding it.
I'm just dying to know where all these voices are that were so loud 2 years ago and now they're mute.
I don't know. There are times.
No, like they're mute. I mean,
So,
and that's the frustrating point on my part is, we're asking for participation.
well, they may be amongst those who filled them in quietly.
Well, we wouldn't, and again, I asked for feedback on what surveys have done and I haven't gotten it, but
I do think
It's a pain
if it
point
were
for me.
prominently listed, Brian, on the front page, first page when you go to Lancaster, Mass.
It is.
It should be
It
there.
It is. It's there.
it's there
So maybe that's where
and
I
it works,
connected
and
to it.
that's how I feel right now.
No, it definitely, I did that a few meetings ago and it worked.
I would definitely reach out to Jennifer Frommer I know her because my son's in the elementary school. I don't know the scope of her duties from elementary to middle school, but she's wonderful. And see if she maybe has a suggestion about disseminating it amongst the parents. I know we had a private resident who was so gracious as to do some graphics for us and whatnot, and she helped push it out to some of the private, or not private, but the parent groups associated with the elementary and middle school. I'm not on the high school one, there is one, so I couldn't speak to that. But
Jennifer, is she in the administrator?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just-
Oh, and here's
Hi. So here's my 2 cents. After sitting in at Neshoba, sitting in on the first, meeting at Barry Rollins, we have a very diverse group. We have people who want to save Lancaster on the Nashua. And I love it. I love that beyond all my heart. That should be what we are. We are Lancaster on the Nashua. But at the same time, up in Neshoba, and George, tell me if I'm wrong, the young people have no clue what we're saying when we say Lancaster on the Nashua. They don't know this is the mother town. This is the town that like was there for all the Clinton, Bolton, Sterling, all of that. They have no clue. They're just here. They're going to be here for 4 years and then out. And I think we need to promote, just like Concord. I want to say Concord promotes that is a mother town. We are a mother town, and we need to promote that for our young people to understand that this is a very historic town. Like Lancaster is super historic. And I don't know how to drive that. And that's where I'm looking for everyone else on this team to help. How do we drive that?
Put it in the parents' cars to drive their kids to and from school.
Can we go to the parking lot?
We just hand out flyers in the school parking lots.
If you register with the school and because you're acting for the town and not privately, probably a pretty decent chance the answer is yes.
The drop-off line?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you saying we drop stuff off at the school parking lot?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Listen, I'm not volunteering to do it because I've done enough at this point.
Okay.
But I sit in that drop-off
So-
line and the pickup line for 45 minutes sometimes, almost every day. And there's a line.
You'd be glad to have something to eat.
And considering the comment that was made by several students at the high school forum about public transportation and the fact that they just have their parents drive them, there seems to be quite an influx of drop-off and pickup line attendees maybe. So maybe that is what we do, is go hand stuff out at the drop-off and pickup lines. Everybody I've talked to in line is very friendly.
Okay.
So we can put on sandwich boards and that say, please talk to me.
I'll be Chase.
We're not driving Ultra in this. No,
Get the kids' attention.
we don't want the kids' attention, so we want their parents' attention.
And back in the day,
Yes, back in the day.
okay, anyone who went to the Neshoba, did you drive out of the area, the pickup lines or the student parking lot? Would you let someone give you a flyer, or did you just want to leave school?
I talk to people in line all the time, but I mean.
Okay, Kendra, you talk to people all the time. I'm just saying, if you are a student that you want to just get out of there and you have your car, and I had my car back in the 80s and I parked in student parking, I wouldn't have talked to you. I just want to get out of there.
But those aren't the people we want. We don't want the students. We want
I get that. I get that. But that's
Yeah,
what
the
we were
car,
talking
you're
to
already
that
lost.
day. No, we were talking to the students. We were talking to the students 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but what
So
I'm saying, hearing from the parents would be good.
So now we're not talking to students because we did. And we wanted their input. But now we don't.
No, we'll take any input from anyone, but the goal of this wouldn't be to necessarily get students to fill out the surveys themselves as much as it would be to get parents to do it. I mean, because it doesn't have to be at the high school necessarily. You do it at Mary Rowlandson.
Right, we could go to the Mary Rowlandson one day, the middle school the next day, then we can go to the high school and then talk to the high school groups as a follow-up, and they may appreciate that we're following up with it. And I think we could talk to the resource officers and the principal, and they could identify the students who were there, and then also give it to everyone else about it. I think we could certainly welcome at least the juniors and the seniors, input.
Yeah.
But I think if we go to the Mary Robinson and the Luther Burbank, I think we want parents.
Oh, of course. So that was my thought process in the entire thing. There's nothing that my thought process had nothing to do with students and everything to do with how to reach their parents to get their parents to return these forms. And you can give a third grader something to give to their parent. Go, hey, I was told to bring this home from school.
Yeah.
That helps. That was where I was going. I was not thinking of targeting more students, except as a way to get to their parents.
You go through the kids back there.
Absolutely. Every day. But I also get his particular teacher sends out every week a weekly newsletter update, and the superintendent sends out the common newsletter every Friday.
Okay, so I mean, maybe we can compose it in.
I don't
the
do
newsletter.
that.
Is it an online newsletter or?
It comes via email to the parents. I'm assuming it's to the parents who have students in school.
And ask the teacher. Electronic copy of the email with the next newsletter.
Sure, absolutely. That's why I said get a hold of Jennifer. Yep, and I don't know the full scope of her grant capabilities. I just know that every time I've interacted with her, she's been wonderful and has been very helpful, so. And I see her name attached to a lot of correspondence I get from the elementary school.
Okay, I think those are some good ideas, but follow up on those and see where it brings us and then find more.
I mean, because what it comes down to is Wayne's contract is coming up from, and if folks finally choose not to participate, I don't want to hear the other side of it.
Right.
If they don't like the end product and they chose not to participate,
Do you have any idea where the middle school was and sound?
I do not.
I suspect they do.
I would be very surprised if they didn't have something similar, some similar pattern.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know if Jennifer's responsibilities are just with the elementary school or if she does look at elementary and the middle school.
Okay, I will follow up with some requirements.
Yeah, all I know is she's lovely,
Yes.
very helpful.
Yeah. Tell her that you can highly recommend it.
Just don't use my name. No, I'm kidding. You can tell her I gave her accolades because she deserves
Okay, anything else on this? Or should we just follow up? Yeah.
Yes.
Did I put this in your packets, the wayfinding summary?
it. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yep.
So this is I asked the consultants to give me a summary of their stakeholder interviews to date. Stakeholder interviews are conducted in February of the month. Inform stakeholders about the process, Lancaster proceed, identify key destinations, locations, and target audiences for wayfinding signs. Learn about additional resources to inform the design process. Town staff also provided insight into the installation, maintenance, and permitting processes. So they talked to the Fayette Memorial Library, the Jill Blue, George is a very active member of our project here. Historic Commission, Amy Brown has been tremendous, and Marcia Jakubowicz, of course, Amy.
Jacobin.
Jack of Owens.
Yeah, wow, I apologize. Marcia Jakubowicz. Okay, of course, Amy has already done something similar. She has an app that she put on the phone and has an inventory of some historic markers, and so it could be something that could be rolled in. But she's very enthusiastic about the program, even though she's back out of the advisory program such as it is. They talked to the Recreation Committee and Kevin Dolan, Commission on Disability, Council on Aging, Conservation Commission with Tom Seidenberg, Lancaster Land Trust with Bob Lidstone, Village Church, John Schumacher Hardy, and the Cultural Council with Lisa Boudry.
So, one question of clarification, being on the historical commission. and in charge of putting together the GPS coordinates part of that app.
Okay.
It's on a phone somewhere,
I think so, yeah.
because we don't have GPS. We're working on
Well,
that.
maybe it's not GPS, but she showed me something where at least the inventory of the, his photos of the.
Yes.
Okay.
But there's no functional app
Okay.
as of yet for
Ah,
clarification.
okay, thanks.
So because that's, I'm tasked with reaching out to a group she identified as it being a good project for them to help with specifying the GPS coordinates. And I've been in contact with them, so it's in the works, but I wouldn't call it a completed app as of
No.
yet. Just so folks aren't like, hey, where's that? And I'm like, not done yet.
Yeah, but I think there, and of course I spoke to Susan, who's online, and Susan Langen, from Historical Society.
Yeah, they're not connected.
Right, I'm not connected with, but
The Historical Society has no partners. It's just the.
right, well, that could. If they want to the interview, but they just the person this morning, to be honest, there's some, some interest. Okay, so but other than that, Lancaster has many recreation destinations, conservation areas, and historic destinations, many of which are on the National Register. The National River runs through the town and is an ecological, cultural, and recreational resource. Some stakeholders feel that there is a north-south divide in the town, where Route 117 intersects the town. It would also be worthwhile to acknowledge the Nipmuc nation's history of moving. So again, you guys can do the rest of this. So they're getting information from the stakeholders what we'll use. Now Thursday is a follow-up meeting for the advisory committee. Thursday morning at 10, I believe. Is that where George? And they're actually going to, speaking of moving this project along, they're going to present some ideas for colors and fonts that would be used in the branding concept for the town, which is a key part of the wayfinding program. So again, in the end, I think, sufficient momentum, we can work towards ending up with a design of a program, including the marketing, the logo, the branding, and some semblance of a route or which historical, recreation, cultural markers would be inventory and included in the program. The question of finding the capital funding to actually purchase, border that is border the actual manufacturing. That's where you try to find it. So stay tuned. I will have a follow-up report at our next meeting.
Thank you. Very concise. I appreciate that.
Solar battery decommissioning report and bond agreements. So that was a communication that I received from our friend Tom Corbett, notifying me that they will have a decommissioning report and which will require bonding. I have not received a report as of yet. I'm sure it will soon. I lined up BSC group. So as soon as I receive the report, I'll forward it to BSC and they will review it. Like a peer review. They'll review the decommissioning report. Yeah, so to be continued.
Okay. The other thing that I think we need to find out with this is that BSC is going to say, well, it would cost this much today to decommission it. If you had to decommission it next week, it would be 100,000, say.
Right.
But we need to decide what we're going to be using for an inflation calculation, because you want that bond to kick in
Yes.
20 years and 100,000 won't cut it.
Right. I mean, that was going to be in my next bullet point, the performance guarantee policy, not only for that, but for other things. As we do subdivisions, whatever. I have a lot of literature, going through a lot of it. putting together a draft policy, internal policy. I did speak to Kate, and she recommended instead of doing a bylaw, we can just do this internal policy. And I'm getting templates, examples from other towns. One point of the inflation factor, we would say, without 110% value, who knows if that's going to do it or not, but that's something we can decide. Maybe on the length of the product, decommissioning, these are new solar panels, and the useful life of a solar panel is, 20 years, I believe, 25 years, so maybe 120%, 1%.
See, I would take, what's the 30-year mortgage rate? And I would apply that, something much closer to the rate of inflation. I mean, 10% inflation over 20 years. We've had 20% inflation in construction materials over just the past couple of years.
No, absolutely. I mean, we would get recommendations on what that inflation factor is, write it into the policy.
Well, I had asked at the last meeting when this came up, because we're not the experts, but I forget who had said it. One of our peer reviews, or there's somebody who has that calculation.
Yes.
And so we don't have to reinvent the math.
No, we just have to.
We just have to identify.
What reference we're gonna use.
Yes.
And we can be consistent.
So, just to be clear, we're not reinventing the math. We're just identifying the source of the math.
Yeah.
And vetting the calculation that it's correct. So,
Probably can't even just.
well, it falls in line with the
And I'm not your squeeze. There's
current
no squeeze.
information as best we can do.
Okay, so I assume that's it for the solar battery performance guarantee policy.
Yes. Right, but then, I more or less talked already about 5, this guarantee policy. Again, I was hoping to be a little bit closer to something we could wrap tonight, but it's just a lot of stuff to consider. So that'll, again, to be continued. Hawthorne Lane update. So we had a breakthrough of sorts this past week. The developer came to the table and
Well, nice to meet you.
That's
Set you on town over here. I'm gonna leave, so namaste.
Regina, you really need to mute.
And FYI, we'd love you to have me as a.
There's a little
No.
there.
I think generally the takeaway is the road is ready for accept, the township is accept. There are a few punch list items that need to be taken care of. There's a few hydrants that are too low. They need to be raised. Risers. At the pump station, there seems to be some issues with the generator. We had technicians from the water department, sewer department, or the water department, anybody's there at the meeting, and they said, there were some issues with the generator that keeps running. It needs to be. I can't get detail, but that needs to be fixed. So he seemed very cooperative with that. The only thing one thing he was not willing to look any further into was the landscaping around the water pumping station. But he
Well,
planned
if his subdivision expires then we can certainly discuss it at that time, and we will.
Yes.
I would suggest that screening is really not particularly expensive, and it would be prudent.
Well, he
to do it.
did say there are some arborvitaes. In addition to that meeting, the conservation, well, I should say the conservation commission, because it wasn't a conservation committee meeting, conservation commission meeting. Myself, Jim Valley, Bruce McGregor went to the site and walked the entire site on the town-owned portion. So the open space, well, not the open space in the boundary around the the property, the subdivision, is under tax time, under tax time. So we walked that entire boundary and we wound up, we started at the water station, walked up around and ended up at the detention ponds, the stormwater devices at the end. Made notes, so I concluded that in the report, the notes that Jim made after the meeting. And you can see, included some photographs. But it was, generally favorable. Not being a stormwater expert, we were able to, we do need to find the operation and maintenance manual, or the operation and maintenance plan for these stormwater devices. The water is flowing, but it is, it has filled in. It has filled in with the vegetation. So, there's the question of, what is the maintenance plan and how can that be?
And who's
And
in
who's gonna do it? And that was discussed at the board meeting, of course. Manpower, there's all these questions. There is also a stormwater device there with a deep sump, We need to find out about that. So there are some questions. That is where we are. Generally, I think having Mr. Mullins in that meeting, and he seems to be cooperating in most points, and wants to get this done.
When does his subdivision expire?
I don't know.
If we could find that out and what the implications, what needs to be done to preventing it from expiring, and what the implications are of the various potential outcomes, that would be very good.
Well, 'cause he has to extend it himself, doesn't he?
Well, he has to apply to extend it, but we have to agree.
Right.
Right, meaning if he stays mute, nobody can extend it on his behalf.
No, you'll see the email I had back and forth with Kate. Yes.
Yes.
I'm just saying that now.
And because it's in color, it's easy to see. So, okay, well, that's the delightful Hawthorne Lane.
Yes. Continue with quotes. 13 Neck Road. I included in your packets the peer reviews and responses that I have to date. So you should see the original stormwater plan, Haley Ward's peer review of that, and the applicant's response to those comments, as well as the Vanass peer review of the traffic report. That's where we stand so far. At the last ZBA meeting, however, the big takeaway was the dearth of soil credits that are currently available in Lancaster. So we've got a good educational, kind of come to Jesus meeting, where Ralph Gifford explained that there are no stormwater credits, in the bank.
At
The
this
town
point
had
in
asked-
their investigation.
Well, so that's the question. So I mean, so I don't know if everyone understands I&I, infiltration and inflow. There seems to be a lot of this in most towns. Sewer systems are old, infiltrated, cracks and joints are tight, and there's water coming in, storm water coming in into the separated system. And that if somehow that was to be corrected, that would free up a lot of credits. But it's a lot of work, you have to get in there, you have to, what they say, TV it, they put down a whole circuit television scope, and the snakes through, and it takes pictures of all the, where are the issues, where are the illegal, illicit connections. Roots are a big thing, tree roots, if they kind of encase around it and they crack and water gets in that way. Storm water comes down through manholes, and all sorts of external water, clear water and otherwise get into the system. And so right now, as a result, there are no credits available for a hookup such as the 40B. And one option is for the applicant to actually pay for and do some of the work themselves. You know, if they want these credits, they have an option perhaps, I don't know. For that, I know that that's a possibility, that they can go in and do some of the repairs themselves to bring up enough credits for them to do it. So that is really where the meeting came to an end and the discussion came to an end, and it was evident that the applicant took that very somberly and going back to see what their next step is. And I want to keep following up with Ralph Gibbon perhaps, and find out more about this. That seems to be.
I know Ralph and the others on that board have really been putting a lot of effort into this recently.
Yeah.
Because a couple of years ago, they did a study and concluded that all the infiltration was in Clinton. And so that
Yes.
if you needed to get Lancaster sewer credits, you had to go fix Clinton's sewer system.
Right, that's,
Clinton was thrilled by this.
Ralph did mention that at the meeting.
But I gather that they now think that there is more potentially in Lancaster.
Well, there are points of repair, there are points where, you know, you could free up credits.
Somebody is first you.
Martha, is this public discussion?
No, not really. It's just more for you to update us.
Sure.
So basically, right now, they don't have any sewer credits, so they can't proceed until they either get sewer credits or come up with an on-site wastewater disposal system, which is probably gonna be a little difficult in a lot that small. So
Yeah, but I'm not even sure if that's possible, because you have, well, okay,
I-
that's a good
but
question.
those are the two options.
Right, but if you're on, you know, so the stormwater bylaw does say that if you have access to, whether define access, if you don't have credits, that's not
They don't have access. Doesn't matter if the pipe's there.
Right, right. There is access. There's, you know, need to
Yep.
person services. So just sort of, but again, it was the list of, we need to define access.
Mhm.
This is the situation. Assuming, you know, at the time, you know, assuming repairs will happen at some point. Sooner than later.
Let us certainly hope so. But so we were supposed to be evaluating their stormwater and reporting back to the ZBA. My assumption is that that's on hold for the moment until the applicant figures out what they're doing
We can,
about the sewer.
yeah, sure, but, no, any feedback, any of the reports, you know, we can give it to them anytime. you
Okay,
know.
so do we have deliverables? What do they expect?
No, they haven't asked for specific as deliverables, but on the advice of the town council, not, I should say town council, the council that we hired to provide legal advice and opinion for this project, highly recommends that there is, it's not, you can't make the mistake that this is a ZBA project. ZBA is the ultimate arbiter, they make the ultimate decision, but, you know, all boards should be, and Rob Allen, the chairperson, was in agreement, you know, yes, all input, all advice, all opinion, especially of the experts in town, is very welcome. And there's a question, you know, I told us, we need to coordinate this advice and feedback and get it to the board, you know, so the next meeting is the
28.
28th. You know, so, you know, perhaps I'll figure out a way that, you know, how am I gonna get feedback if this board wants to send me emails individually, not as a group, but individually, and I'll you know, somehow synthesize that into a summary or feedback for them.
I mean, I have no problem putting it on as, you know, on our agenda.
Yeah,
In the meeting part of our agenda, so the five of us can sit and do that. I just want to make sure that, you know, we have everything we need to look at before we do that. So,
Like everything.
so I
get
guess,
things, I
yeah,
forward.
so I guess what I would want to do is to hear from Rob Alex in terms of, does he want us to push to get him something by the 28th?
I will,
And if so, if you can communicate that to the board, and we'll put it on the agenda for the 25th.
This includes conservation as well. I don't know about this.
Well, no idea on that, but just, I mean, we want to be as helpful as possible. But I know we've got other stuff coming up on the 25th, so I don't necessarily want to add that on if we don't have to.
Right. Yeah.
Especially if the applicant may well put this under a longer term pause.
Right.
So,
I couldn't have said it better than myself.
no, there we go. So, okay,
All right. 13 Neck Road.
got us a conservation agent yet? Huh?
Well, I'm hoping.
Where's my agent?
So we had a second round interviews last week, and with Kate, and I think Kate and I are both in agreement of a candidate who we feel would be very strong in both conservation and planning aspects of the position. So I am pressing Kate to see if we can make an offer this week. You know, the better.
Excellent.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions, comments, thoughts?
Nope. Not today.
Regina, anything? I'll take that as a no.
The correspondence, they put it with, what you want to say, correspondence.
Well, do you, I mean, do
The
you have,
correspondence I had was from Ron Corbett.
well, we've kind of covered that.
Yes.
So, okay, any new business from anyone?
Just that again, that would be the new business, so.
Okay.
When that report comes, you guys will get it, and we'll start talking about commissioning.
Great.
Bond agreements, and we'll first do the peer review from BSC, see what their comments are.
Okay. And it was occurring to me, if we're considering a tech review meeting for 201 Hilltop, you might want to ask him if he wants to get involved in something like that for whatever strange plans he has for those A&R lots.
Okay,
I mean, he's I can tell what he's trying to do. I don't think he's going to get to pull it off, but it might be easier if he, heard that from other
Sure.
boards or.
Well, I suppose I would, well, okay, so that's cool too. So I did have correspondence from, I did reach out to the engineer for the project, the applicant's engineer. And, sorry.
This is Hilltop.
This is on Hilltop, yes.
The carrot.
And he thinks it's a great idea to have a technical review meeting where we can kind of come to the table in informal fashion and just hear what their plans are. You know, and again, and what technical reviews do, tell us your program, tell us your ideas, how we move forward in the most efficient way.
As long as everybody understands, no promises.
Right.
This is strictly an informal.
I think after 4 years, it's pretty much given, there's no promises. And for the record,
I know you have to refuse.
he's not my boss.
Oh, so you don't have to refuse.
I don't know where somebody put it in somebody's head, he's my boss. I own my own business.
Okay.
Nobody's my boss but me.
If you don't have a financial relationship where.
He happens to be affiliated with my office. I see the man maybe once a
So
year.
that's
at
fine.
holiday, Christmas
That's a
party.
matter for disclosure. That's all you just.
I've been saying that since the
Yeah,
beginning.
well, you're
However,
good. You're good.
he is not my boss.
You don't have to accuse from anything. Leastwise, not today.
So, for the record,
Okay, good. That's good to know. In that case, there's only one more thing I'm looking for tonight.
a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. Regina, would you like to weigh in on this one? No, that's true. All right. We'll say Regina's voting no. Your votes?
I would vote yes.
Yeah.
I would also vote yes. So 3, 2, let's say none, and Regina abstained due to technical issues. Okay. We're all done.